On January 13th, 2017, Lynne Briggs was visiting her family in Nebraska. 3 decades had passed since the last time she saw her cousin Dolly. As she drove her Honda Civic through winding unfamiliar roads making her trek to Dolly's house, she noticed what appeared to be a child standing beside the road. Alarmed, she immediately pulled over and turned on her emergency lights. She hopped out of the car and called out to the child, "Are you okay?" The little girl looked up, but said nothing. Lynne quickly realized something was seriously wrong. The girl's clothes were thin and tattered. Her hair was matted. There were dark circles under her eyes. She continued to slowly approach the little girl. She didn't want to move too quickly, afraid it would scare the child. She didn't want her to run. "Are you by yourself out here?" Lynne tried speaking to the girl once again, but she was still met with silence. "What am I going to do?" she asked herself. She decided to call the police. Realizing her cell phone was still in her car, she turned to walk back. She took a few steps and heard a small voice behind her. "Wait," the tiny voice said. Lynne turned around. "I wasn't leaving. I was going to call someone for help. Are you alone out here, sweetheart?" The little girl shook her head. Lynne became a little nervous. If the child wasn't alone, who else was out here? "Where is everyone else?" The little girl pointed to the tree line. "Do they need help?" Instead of responding, the little girl began to run to the woods. Worried that she would lose sight of this child, Lynne began to run after her. Once she made it into the woods, she realized she never made it back to get her cell phone. She wanted to turn back, but knew that she would probably never find the girl again if she did. So she continued to venture deeper into the woods. The little girl was fast, and it was hard to keep up with her. "Hopefully I'm not running into a trap," Lynne thought to herself. The trees started to become sparse, and she eventually ran into a clearing. The child ran to the edge of the next set of trees and knelt down next to something large. Lynne couldn't yet make out what it was, but she would not be prepared for what she saw once she got to the girl. "Can you help?" the girl asked in her tiny voice. Lynne finally realized what she was looking at. It was a body. She rushed to the girl in a panic. It was an old man. She presumed it was the little girl's grandfather. She checked for a pulse. It felt strong. She breathed a sigh of relief. At least he was alive. "Sir?" she called out to the man. His eyes fluttered, but he did not respond. She had to call for help. "Stay here with him. I'm going to go get help, okay?" The little girl nodded her head. Lynne ran back through the path that she had just come down. Luckily, it was a pretty straight line. She knew it would be easy to find her way back. She pushed past the trees and finally made it back to her car. She opened the door, grabbed her phone, and immediately dialed 911. She told the dispatcher about the girl and the old man in the woods. Lynne told the woman on the other end of the phone that she was going to return to the woods. She didn't want the little girl to run away. Her car would be a good enough landmark. It was straight into the woods from there. She ran back into the tree line. Her cell phone signal dissipated pretty quickly. She wasn't surprised. That's why she told the dispatcher that she was going back. The little girl was still there when she returned. She knelt down beside the old man. This explained the girl's appearance. She must have been scared. No wonder she was disheveled. "Help will be here soon." She checked his pulse once again. It was still good. After sitting there for a moment, the man opened his eyes. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked. "Where's Maddie?" "I'm right here, Paw Paw," she exclaimed. "Who are you?" the man asked. "My name is Lynne. I was driving down the road and I saw your granddaughter. She was trying to find you some help. We were out for a walk and I began to get dizzy. I must have passed out for a moment." "Well, an ambulance should be here soon. You should probably get checked out." The paramedics soon showed up, and Lynne said goodbye to the man and little girl. The adrenaline was beginning to wear off and she was feeling exhausted. If you hadn't stopped, something could have happened to that little girl, one of the emergency responders said to her before leaving. Lynne just smiled and got into her car. Once she had been on the road for a little while longer, she pulled over for a quick snack and some gas. She took the opportunity to call her cousin. The detour in the woods set her back a little while. She got Dolly's voicemail, so she left a message saying she would be a bit late. After that, she was back on the road. The scenery was nice this time of year. She hadn't been to Nebraska since she was a child. It was nice to be back. The rest of the drive was pretty uneventful. That was fine with Lynne. The first part of the day had been stressful enough. Dolly was waiting outside when Lynne pulled up. They exchanged excited pleasantries. "Sorry I didn't answer the phone when you called. I have had a crazy day." Dolly sighed. "No worries," Lynne replied. "I had a pretty interesting day myself." "Come in and tell me about it. Excuse the mess. We had to pick our niece up unexpectedly. Mike's uncle fell in the woods today. He's fine. Luckily, a nice woman stopped and helped. What a scare, though." Lynne just stood there dumbfounded. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. The next thing she knew, the little girl from earlier ran up and grabbed her leg. "She's never like that with strangers." Dolly was shocked. "No, stranger," Maddie said. "You aren't going to believe this, but I'm the nice lady that stopped to help." Both of the women laughed. Being a good person is always the right move. For more stories like this one, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok at CaptivatingCont for more content.